Today I'm going to talk about what makes a good healer, and Ying is an example of what I feel is a great healer in a game, that is, Paladins of course. So I'm not talking about the healing qualities of a noticeable underboob situation, and the funny thing actually is that Ying originally wasn't a healer. In the closed beta, all of her illusions did damage, and she was actually quite ridiculous because even her ultimate spawned loads of little damage sprites or turret things on all of your allies. And almost every game the Ying would have the top damage just because all over the map you'd have these turrets doing lots of damage to enemies, and she was quite ridiculous, but thankfully we did get to see her as a healer and has taken a place in my heart. I did also use her as an example of one of the best champions for new players in my best champions for new players video, and also that sort of factors into why I think she's a great healer, and also she's so easy to pick up. But the main reason why I think Ying is such a good healer, or I guess in Paladins they call them supports, but I would say most of them do healing, so they are pretty much healers. But the reason is you aren't stuck healing one target by constantly clicking on them or holding a button to heal up an ally. Basically, you can be active and participate in fights and heal effectively at the same time. You don't have to pick one or the other. And I don't want to throw out any insults here, cough mercy, cough TF2 medic, but in those games you're literally stuck holding left mouse button or your trigger, whatever you use to heal, and you're effectively being a healing or damage boosting bitch for the other player. And the reason why she can be active and participate in fights is mainly to do with the fact that her clones or illusions all act as healing turrets, and basically, once you put them down, you don't have to do a lot about them. And sure, we might turn a blind eye to the short life of the clone she creates, and the philosophical question of cloning ethics and a life destined to be cut short by a murderous champion, or simply just imploding in a puff of pink smoke. We'll put that aside for a moment, but these illusions are very forgiving, and they especially allow new players to heal without really thinking about it. You just put down a clone, and it starts locking onto the closest target or your ally, and just healing them up, which is just nice and easy to get on with to begin with. But the higher level play, the skill ceiling, is placing them in places that will heal most effectively, survive longest, and allow you to jump around and escape. So placing them in a high ground position or somewhere away from where you would normally be expected to jump to, and not near where your other clone is. But then at the same time having a vantage point to heal your allies, and thinking about that can be part of the skill ceiling. But at the same time, even with that thinking and trying to place your illusions in different places, you can still be very active at shooting and firing. And if your clones do go down and you need to put down another one, you just press Q or whatever button you have on your controller, and you instantly have another clone up, and then you don't have to worry about it again. Which just means that you can be very active in the fights. You also have the option to convert the illusions into damage by alt firing and turning them into homing explosives. And again, about the ethics, we won't try and think about that. But that timing and whether or not to use the explosives gives her that little bit of extra skill, but also means there are options and reactions to the flow of battle. I mean, again, you're really active in the action. Plus, generally her beam burst weapon mirror is fun to use with your illusions as cover, and you basically just put out a consistent amount of pinpoint damage, and you can do that with your illusions up or putting down your illusions. You can put out quite a bit of damage and actually be useful when you're fighting enemies, even finishing them off because you have that beam weapon, or applying dots. She's great at applying the cauterize and things like that. Her teleport to escape is another fun element, which you practically spam in a scramble and dart around your clones like a pinball. But to the keen enemy, waiting at the clone might be as good as whack-a-mole and getting a prize at the end. And finally, her ultimate just sends out lots of healing sprites that also require no active engagement, so you can do them whenever, you don't have to worry about them once they're down. And they also act as teleport gates across the entire map, where you can basically just jump across, or at least where your allies are, because they spawn on your allies and you can teleport them to them in the instant. So if you die, you can pretty much get to the fight straight away if you put down your illusions and your allies on the point. So that's pretty much Ying in a nutshell, and all her abilities and what makes her fun. And overall for me, Ying is great to play, even when you're getting to the higher level games, and is generally bae, mostly because she has lots of active potential whilst the heal is down in the illusions, which are just a passive ability, and you don't have to do anything. And you don't need to be interrupted by the need to heal or lock onto an ally, and you always feel a part of the engagement. And the big thing is, when most people want to insta-lock damage champions or flank champions, and you get to that champion select screen and you're like, oh god, we need a healer and a tank. Most of the time, you can have a lot of fun playing as a Ying. Like, if you want to pick a healer and you want to have fun in a game, because you're probably playing a casual game, Ying is a great pickup just to have fun with. And also, she's one of the best healers, and she can have a lot of potential in the healing. Like, the clones don't inhibit you as a healer, and they do enough healing to be very successful. So also having great team compositions, Ying sits in a great spot at being a healer pick I just don't groan at playing. Now, I've talked a lot about Ying, but it doesn't just stop there. Grok's Totem, Grover's Bloom, and Pip's Flask are generally not things that interrupt your ability to engage and be active in fighting. Although I would say Maldamba is a bit more the way of Mercy and the Team Fortress medic, but not quite at the point of piggybacking a damage hero and taking a backseat to the action. Although I think when you get to the high levels with Maldamba, you're basically just spamming the heals on a single target or keeping somebody alive as much as possible, and the engaging, the firing, and the stunning comes second to that. And I do get that some people do just enjoy healing, but for the most part, I like the philosophy of the healing or support champions currently in Paladins, and I do hope it continues that way. And we have got Oracle coming up very soon, which will be the next support. Or Serra's, if that is the name, or another name that might come later on. And I would say that Ying and Maldamba are pretty much the two main healers at the moment, and the other healers are sort of off healers, or not quite at the same level as Ying and Maldamba. And out of the two, Ying is a lot more fun, and as an example, I think she makes a great healer, and as a pickup that you want to have fun with, she sits right up at the top. What does everybody else think? Do you agree or disagree? Perhaps you would like to sit back and left click an ally. Be sure to let me know in the comments section below what you think. Like if you thought this video supported a team, dislike if you thought it was a player claiming to be a damage main as a Ying, and subscribe for more of my content. I'll see you all next time. Joshino.